right over to you whenever Lauren.
Lauren just gave me the virtual heads up, the virtual head nod that we are good to go here. So I'm going to ring my bell that I don't actually have, and you'll have to forgive me for not having a bell. I was looking for like a bell app or something that I might be able to use, but I don't even know how to use my phone anymore. For some reason it doesn't recognize my face, and long story. But anyway, welcome to Thursday noon Denver Rotary Club. We are awesome, and I'm stoked to be here. I am excited to be filling in for President Debbie this afternoon. She is up in the mountains skiing, so hopefully she'll get some of that. Apparently 5 feet of snow that's coming here in the next couple of days up in the snow. So which actually may make the snow taller than she is. So we'll have to get some feedback from her next week. All right, with that, let's why don't we jump in and do the Pledge of Allegiance. So I will run this if you can follow along. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now we will pass the virtual mic over to past club and DRCF president Jim Mack, who is president of MTech Ventures LLC, for today's inspirational moment. Jim, go ahead.
Thank you. When day comes, we ask ourselves, where can we find light in this ever-ending shade? The loss we carry a sea we must wade. We've braved the belly of the beast. We've learned that quiet isn't always peace. And the norms and notions of what just isn't always justice. And yet the dawn is ours before we knew it. Somehow we do it. Somehow we weathered and witnessed a nation that isn't broken, but simply unfinished. Some of you may recognize the poem, The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman, National Youth Poet Laureate, who gave the poem at this year's presidential inauguration. After this beginning of the poem, I was mesmerized by Amanda's words and poised presentation. Amanda is 23 years old, was raised by a single mother in Watts, Los Angeles. She attended New Roads, a private school in Santa Monica, for grades K through 12. As a senior, she received a Milken Family Foundation college scholarship. She studied sociology at Harvard College, graduating cum laude in 2020 as a member of Phi Beta Kappa. A main focus of service for the Denver Rotary Club is youth and education. Programs such as high school scholarships, RILA, Youth Exchange, Scholastic Arts Awards, and Denver Kids, to name just a few, involve our youth, helping them succeed in K through 12 school, graduate, and pursue a post-secondary education or career. Many will have success, as has Amanda Gordon. Amanda was the first poet to author and present a poem at a Super Bowl. She presented Chorus of the Captains at this year's Super Bowl to honor the leaders, healers, and educators in combating the pandemic. I will finish with the closing of the poem. Let us walk with these warriors, charge on with these champions, and carry forth the call of our captains. We celebrate them by acting with courage and compassion, by doing what is right and just. For while we honor them today, it is them who every day honor us.
That's great, Jim. Thank you so much. And now for the club secretary's report, we have Club Secretary Troy Smansky. Troy is partner and fund manager for Outpost Fund. Troy, take it away, my friend.
Thank you very much, President-elect Ian. First off, I want to welcome all of our guests and potential new members that are joining us today. We're glad to have you here, and welcome to Thursday Rotary Zoom here with Denver Rotary. We've got some birthdays that we want to wish happy birthday to, both today and later this week. So please join me in sending a card, sending a message, sending well wishes to Fred, Ed, Stu, Win, Drew, Jim, and Rich, all having birthdays today and later this week. So happy birthday from Denver Rotary to you. In terms of announcements, really the only thing I have is we'd love to see you next Wednesday at the Rotary Zoom happy hour. It'll be Wednesday evening at 5:30, and there will be a invite link at the in the Tuesday email with information about next week's speaker. So keep an eye out for that. It's always a good conversation, always good to kind of unwind halfway through the week with some other Rotarians. So we hope to see you there. And that'll be it from me. Back to you, President-elect Ian.
Awesome. Thank you, Troy. Appreciate it. And you guys, I have to say, if we keep going at this rate, we're going to have plenty of time for questions. We're actually running ahead. Next up, we have Jill Santuccio, who is our fundraising VP and founder of Prism Communications. Jill, you've got some exciting news for us today.
Are you digging my little mitten dealy boppers? I'm so excited for snow. I can't wait for a big snowstorm. I do have a big announcement today. You all got an email at 9:30 this morning announcing our virtual fundraiser for April Fool's Day. Let me put up my thing here. So you may recall that a couple of years ago, we had an un-gala. And this year we are going to do an un-talent show. So can you ride a unicycle? Can you walk backwards and chew gum? Are you like Melly Kennard and can you balance a nickel on your nose and cross your eyes and get thrown out of Latin class? We are looking for people to do fun things. And my tagline for this is perform something cool or just be a fool for Rotary. So this is also going to be a fundraiser for DRCF. We're going to try to get into the habit of having a spring fundraiser for DRCF rather than a fall fundraiser for DRCF, since it comes so close on the heels of the peach sale. And we have had a very kind and generous donor who has offered to match $10,000 if we can raise $10,000 during this event. So stay tuned to your email. You are going to be getting a registration link in the coming weeks or so to sign up. We want people to register. So that's number one. Number two, we want people to pledge so that we can reach that $10,000 goal and double our dollars. Number three, there's a link in the email that was sent out this morning. Thank you, Lauren, at 9:30, where you can register to be part of the Untalent show. So we do have some people who have like real talents, like Ian, who can really sing, who's going to really perform. But Debbie Beasley and I really want this to be a fun event. It's going to be virtual. It's going to be via Zoom. You can pour yourself a cocktail. We're going to have prizes. We're going to have games. We all, now that we're coming out of year number 1 of the COVID, hopefully there will not be year number 2 of COVID. We all just need to come together and have some fun and have some laughs. And if I can come to a Rotary meeting with little red mitten dealy boppers on my head, I think that you guys should come on 5:30 p.m. on April Fool's Day, April 1st, and join us in just being fools for Rotary while we raise money for the DRCF. And my phone's ringing, so I'm going to say goodbye. Bye.
Awesome. Thank you, Jill. I appreciate that. You know, for fundraising shows that I've done in the past, I've always done these like kamikaze songs where you get to pick the song. I have to do a search for it and learn how to, and you know, play it right off the bat. It's always a good time. It's rarely good. It's rarely talented performance, but it's always at least funny. So you know, maybe we can, you know, we'll hopefully we'll find some other folks that are willing to show up and be a fool for Rotary on April 1st. And now we have our good news bucket, which is supporting the Rotary Foundation today. And for that, we have our service team co-VP and incoming board director, Mark Whipper, who is the director of major gifts for Regis University. Mark, take it away.
Great, thanks, Ian. Hi to everybody that I wasn't in a breakout room with. I'm in charge of the red bucket today, and we want to blow the top off of it. So let's everybody get ready to give to the bucket. Just as a reminder, it's going to the Rotary International Foundation, $20 minimum, but I think everyone should think bigger than that. Lauren will have a link in the chat box, and as well as the meeting recap with how to make your donation so that she doesn't have to chase you around to make it. I just had one quick little anecdote. I was poking around the Rotary International Foundation website just to get some inspiration for this. And I came across a story. We always think of the Rotary International Foundation as doing international projects, which they do a wide variety and a vast number of them. But I was struck because they also did a project right here in Durango, installing solar lights on an off-the-grid Indian reservation. So I thought that was kind of interesting that while we always think of the projects being international, they do some that are really close to home. So with that little tidbit, let's open it up to good news.
Arthur?
Yes,
Arthur,
thank
are
you.
There you go.
I'm here. My wife and I both got our COVID shots. The second one was last Saturday. I was very cynical about whether we were ever going to get one or get two, but it happened, and it happened very efficiently. And so I want to donate $750 to the Rotary International Foundation Polio Fund because of that.
Wow, thank you, Arthur. That's amazing. Okay, who wants to follow that one up?
Don?
Yes, well, I received some good news right before the meeting started today. Troy Smansky told me that he was going to shovel his neighbor's walk. And I was inspired by that. And I think that is just wonderful good news. So I will be contributing to the Rotary Foundation because of Troy's inspiration today.
Mark, I see your hand up.
Thank you, Mark. On behalf of, I'd like to donate $100, please, to honor and celebrate my fellow Rotarians on the World Community Services Committee. As a prelude to our speaker today, that committee had the foresight and the wisdom to very strategically and very wisely invest some of your hard-earned dollars as part of the malaria eradication program that we're going to be hearing about later. And so to celebrate that and to celebrate the wisdom of my fellow World Community Services members, I'd like to donate $100.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? So I'm looking through. I see Alan. Alan, you're up.
Thanks. I missed the last couple of meetings because I was preparing for and then conducting an arbitration on behalf of some investors against one of the major brokerage firms. And just a couple of days ago, we got the award, and it was 7 figures for our clients. So I'm a happy guy, at least this week.
Excellent, thank you.
Ian?
Yeah, so let's see, what was it? Tuesday was my son's first birthday. So I am going to throw some cash into the bucket for to celebrate keeping a human alive for an entire 12 months. Of course, my wife deserves most of the credit, but still, I'm gonna I'll donate the money.
Thanks, Ian. I see Jim White's hand up. Jim, you're on mute. There you go.
I'd like to donate $79 because it's my 79th birthday next Monday, and I'll be skiing this weekend. So that's quite an accomplishment, I think, being that that age and still on the boards. And so I'll donate that. I can't get quite up to 100 because I don't know if I'll make it that old, but I'm going to keep on trying.
Oh, thanks, Jim. That's great.
Bill Korstad?
Both myself and my wife got our second COVID shot last week before last, and we're very happy about that. We feel like a great weight has been lifted off of us. So for that, I'm donating $100 to the foundation.
Thanks, Bill.
Allison?
I have two quick good newses. One, my husband gets his first COVID shot today. And then the other is I got to see a Rotarian last night and hug him. I got to see Charlie Miller. And it was just so nice to be able to start hugging people again. So nice to see you, Charlie.
I agree. Anyone else out there?
That's all I'm seeing, Mark.
So, yeah, I don't see anyone else. Well, that's great, everybody.
I'm sorry to be so late and coming out here at this point. But I just had the pleasure of being off of my primary doctor who's been taking care of my sleep apnea problems for a long time and without very good show. And he was glad to come up with the idea that we had a machine that could take care of me for the rest of my life, which, you know, as old as I am right now, might only be a few weeks, but we'll see what happens during that period of time. Anyway, I'm delighted to put $500 into the pot today to say thank you, and that I've enjoyed all of the things that we're doing with you know, the outlook of our group to now. So that's it. Thank you.
Wow, Jim, thanks so much. What a way to wrap up the Red Bucket for this week. Thanks, everybody. And Ian, back to you.
Thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate it. And I'll tell you, if there's ever a time that you need inspiration to push you through the last part of that week, it's always great to be here and listen to these Red Bucket stories, man. It always leaves me walking away inspired. You know, and to kind of follow on with Mark Donovan's comment here, you know, we did hear, you know, we have some, we're going to be talking about malaria today, and just to kind of give a little bit more detail that you know, he shared with us about the World Community Services. You know, in January 2018, President Jim Johnson returned from the large club conference, learning of a collaborative effort between Seattle Club 4, the Federal Way Club, and some others to eradicate malaria from that Copper Belt region of Zambia. Through the efforts of the World Community Services Committee and incredibly generous grants from DRCF, $5,000 was granted from the 2018 budget and another $5,000 from the 2019 budget. And you know, Mark made the point that this was the first time in recent memory that an international project that Club 31 did not spearhead received that much support. And the amazing thing is that through a number of different matches, our $10,000 resulted in $32,000 of work in Zambia. So, so it's awesome to hear. And Mark, thank you for bringing that to our attention. And with that, I'm actually going to turn it over to Don Kane to introduce our speaker today. Don, take it away.
Thank you, Ian. Club 31 is happy to welcome Clayton Taylor to speak to us today about an inspiring project in Africa. Clayton is a member of the board of directors of Malaria Partners International, which was known until recently as Rotarian Malaria Partners. The organization is headquartered in Seattle, where it was founded by the Seattle Rotary Club. Clayton is a native of Oklahoma, where he grew up on a ranch in Muskogee County. He's a member and a past president of the Rotary Club of Oklahoma City. That club calls itself Club 29.
Yes, sir.
It was founded in the same year as ours, 1911, but a few months earlier. The website for the Oklahoma City Club boasts that they are the third largest Rotary Club in the world and the second largest in the US. In addition to his leadership roles at the home club, Clayton has been extremely active in international Rotary service projects in Africa, Europe, and Latin America. In his other life, Clayton is the principal of the Taylor Group, a full-service lobbying and consulting firm focused on business issues at the Oklahoma State Capitol, which he founded in 1994. Clayton started his career in Washington, D.C. as a legislative expert for a series of 5 United States representatives. He then moved to the corporate world, working in management, government relations, and public affairs for several major corporations, including McDonald's, Phillips Petroleum, and the Coastal Corporation. He continues to serve on the board for a number of important nonprofits and for his church, St. Luke's United Methodist Church. Clayton and his wife, Marnie, have 2 sons and a couple of grandkids. One of those sons, Clark, is wise enough to live in Crested Butte.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
Where Clayton owns a home. With that, I pass the program on to our speaker, Clayton Taylor.
Thank you very much. I certainly appreciate it. It's an honor. And let me start by saying it was a pleasure to meet by virtual Zoom this morning, to meet Dawn and Lauren, and thank you for getting this set up. I want to say, especially right off the bat, a big thank you to Mark and Ian for your club's participation in support of what we're going to talk about today. I lived in Denver in the 1980s with Phillips Petroleum Company. I worked out at the Tech Center. I lived at essentially Bellevue and University, unincorporated Arapahoe County out there at Greenwood Acres and Greenwood Village. So we love Denver. And as you said, we helped raise our children going to Colorado. And we have one son who is a permanent resident. He now works for the Vail Ski Corporation, which has moved into Crested Butte and has used his college degree from Oklahoma State University in hotel and hospitality. He works at the front desk in lodging for the Vail Resorts there at Crested Butte. And thank you for the opportunity to be with you. What I want to do today is give you, and it sounds like it's going to be an update. I didn't realize this. It's so exciting to be with folks and talk to folks who understand what we're trying to do. My focus today will be in behalf of Malaria Partners International, and they are committed to eradicating, in the meantime, treating, and diagnosing and treating malaria on a worldwide basis. But the world is an awfully big place. There's a lot of malaria in South America, in Africa, and in Asia and Southeast Asia. And so what we wanted to do and what we're doing and what the MPI is doing is that we are focusing on Africa, and specifically started by focusing on the country of Zambia. And so that's what we will talk about today. And I will explain how we're using what we've learned in Zambia to start moving into other countries as well. Let's see. Now I want to, there we go, it's gonna work. A baseline that I always want to establish for people when we start talking about doing anything in Africa is the true size of Africa. And this map, which is an amalgamation of countries, if you'll look up here at the brown, that is actually the United States, and it fits into what is essentially Western Africa. India becomes East Africa. China becomes all of sub-Saharan and even above the Sahara, or above the south part of Africa here. And these are all European countries, Eastern Europe. It is huge, it is massive. And so when we start talking about trying to do things in Africa, I just want people to keep in mind what this all really looks like and the size and extent of what we're trying to deal with. Today, I want to really look at what is are three things. That is that malaria has been around for a long time. It's often called the greatest killer of mankind. Secondly, Rotary is in a unique position right now with regard to malaria on the heels of what we've done with polio, and then also making a difference. And before I actually get into the presentation itself, I want to first share with you some very exciting news that happened just this week. On Tuesday, it was announced that Malaria Partners International is the recipient of the first ever projects of scale, programs of scale, I should say, funded by Rotary International. And this was a competitive grant. We applied in behalf of the work we've been doing in Zambia, and it was announced on Tuesday that this competition led to us getting a $2 million grant that we will be able to use in Zambia. And because of the things that Malaria Partners International has done, partnering with other organizations, we have already understand that we will be receiving a matching gift from World Visions USA, as well as another matching gift from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So the end result of that announcement on Tuesday is that we will be able to add $6 million to what we're doing in Zambia. That means an additional 2,500 village healthcare workers that we will train. And we will be really focused on reducing, eliminating, managing malaria in some of the hardest hit provinces in Zambia, using the experience that we've already had and established. So the three things I'd like you to do as we're going through today's presentation is please consider supporting MPI efforts. And I guess I should more accurately say, please consider supporting further and again and additionally MPI's efforts in controlling malaria. While this project of scale is going to bring all kinds of additional resources for us, we're so excited about it, but that's going to be dedicated to Zambia. And later in the presentation, I'll talk to you about some other opportunities that we're seeing in other countries. We also want you to think about and would ask you to become an advocate for making malaria the next big international project for Rotary in terms of taking on a worldwide disease. We have gotten very close on polio. We have the things in place to move forward with another disease, and we hope that will be malaria. And then please consider participating with MPI on a personal basis. As soon as COVID allows us, and I should say post-COVID, I guess, allows for travel, we hope to return to Africa, to Zambia specifically, and other locations to talk about and look at what we're doing over there. I got started by going on a MPI trip to Zambia in October of 2019, which led me to becoming a member of the MPI board and becoming passionate about working on malaria. MPI is leading the fight to eliminate malaria, and we're partnering with other Rotary clubs to do it. This is a scene, each time that I'm going to show you these slides now will be a scene from something that we're doing in Africa. This is the scene outside a health clinic. And as I mentioned, we are expanding beyond Zambia into Uganda, the Gambia, and even now looking at Tanzania and some additional countries. First of all, malaria is the greatest killer of mankind. It's been around for 30 billion years. We have found mosquitoes encased in amber, just like you saw in Jurassic Park, that go back to before mankind. And it is estimated that malaria has perhaps killed 1/2 of the world's population through the history of the world, or more than 50 billion people. So we really think it's time to address this very serious issue. It's important to understand it's a very simple blood-borne parasite that's carried by the female species of a certain species of mosquito. And I would try and pronounce it, but I'm sure I'll get it wrong. But this is what we're working to do. The mosquito bites, a mosquito carrying malaria bites a person, and that parasite goes into the person's liver. The blood then becomes infected with the red blood cells. The person now becomes a carrier of malaria. They're bitten by another mosquito who then gets the parasite and carries it to the next person. So once malaria gets into a village, particularly into a household, it spreads very, very easily. And that's what we're really working to do. And again, they found malaria parasites dating back more than 30 million years. So what are really the impacts of malaria? This is another picture of a health clinic. And most of what is done in health clinics, on average, 70% of the work done in a village healthcare clinic deals with malaria. It kills thousands of young children 5 years and younger. It also kills some adults. But mainly the impact that malaria has on adults is two things. It affects mothers, most of whom still stay at home and raise the children and take care of crops and that sort of thing. When malaria hits a mother, she can't take care of the children. If a child has malaria and is receiving the multiple treatments necessary to combat malaria, they're not able to walk to the village healthcare clinic and carry that child to go get care. So it can be devastating on the family unit. When a father can't go to work because of malaria, he's unable to earn money, and the family may not have money for food then. And his employer is out another employee, and so it has a huge impact on the economy as well. Oops, I want to go back. I skipped, let's see, what previous, there we go. Malaria's impact today is simply this, and this is a very interesting slide that really shows the impact of malaria. These are graves, adult graves, children's graves. 250 million cases per year in the world that kills 435,000 people. 90% of these cases right now are in sub-Saharan Africa. 50% of the folks who are killed are children under 5 years old. Cases and deaths are children under 5 years old. And then I want to emphasize this, 730 children under the age of 5 die every day. And again, 90% of these cases and deaths are in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa specifically. One of the things that we are doing through our work with MPI is we are, let's see, I want to go back. There we go. Is we're partnering with local government, with national government, who is then getting us in touch with local government. And I want to emphasize this photo right here. The lady at the chair is the vice president of the federal government of Zambia. Her name is Vice President Inongwe Winya. And this is our MPI board chair, Jeff Pritchard from Seattle, Washington. I sat in on this meeting and Vice President Winya said You Rotarians will be successful because you're involving the local people. You are training them to become healthcare workers. One of the things that Rotary International always looks for and emphasizes in developing an international project is sustainability. We are getting it started in Zambia. We're doing the things necessary, but it is our work through the government in Zambia that will provide us the sustainability that we need. This is a picture that I'm proud of, meeting with the Ministry of Health in Zambia and our local leader with MPI there in Zambia. This shows the kind of participation that we've had. Again, in October of 2019, we traveled to Zambia as a group, Malaria Partners International, so that we could see what's going on. In this particular photo, we have representatives. Here is the Ministry of Health, and we have representatives from Rotary clubs, including Seattle, Des Moines, Long Beach, Aspen, Colorado, Oklahoma City, and Rotarians from Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Tacoma, Washington, and other Northwest clubs as well. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is represented in this photo, as well as PATH, which is a World Health Organization. This is one of my favorite photos. It's not anything significant other than it shows Rotary's presence in Africa, and they come together very nicely. This is actually what the letterhead, the emblem, the signage for the Rotary Club of Ndola, Zambia looks like. Here's Jeff Pritchard and me standing outside the entrance to the Rotary Club Center in Ndola, which is one of the provincial capitals in Zambia. Again, our global reach could go any direction, but we've really focused on first Zambia. Next, we're going to move into Uganda. We are already then starting to do work in the Gambia and Tanzania. We bring together the resources of Rotarians from 200 countries. Specifically, the red country here is Zambia. It's about the size of the state of Texas, and it has 17 million people. This is where we are focused today, and this is where the projects of scale funding will be used. This is the work that we've been doing. And please look here, these are the various provinces in the various parts of Zambia. And this shows the reduction in malaria parasite prevalence that we've had in various provinces in which we've been involved. In Lusaka, it's down to 2.4%. Someone mentioned the Copper Belt projects. This is the current project we're working on. It's currently at 15.2% and coming down. Because of the funding from the projects of scale, the programs of scale, we will be moving into Muchinga and other provinces where the prevalence is much higher. Additionally, I'm very excited to say that we're in the process of putting together another project that will be going into Uganda. This is the country of Uganda. Tanzania separates Uganda from Zambia. This is Kenya. This is all considered Eastern and Southern Africa. They're all former British colonies, so English is prevalent as a second language in many of these areas and many of these villages. I found this to be just very interesting, and I think it helps give you an idea of what we're dealing with in Africa. This is the international border between Zambia, where my feet are standing. This is me. This is our local Rotarian president over there in Ndola. I'm standing in Zambia. This is the border crossing into the Democratic Republic of the Congo. This is the no man's land between it. So you can see from this is the guard shack. The man rides up every day on a motorcycle to sit and watch people come and go. But you can see how difficult it is to control passage of people, certainly difficult to prevent the spread of disease from one country to another. This shows a training session going on in Ndola. We talked about training these village healthcare workers. In this project, we asked villages to nominate one or two people to come to be trained. And it's a very high honor for these 20-some-year-olds when they're chosen to come to Ndola and get trained. They come for a 7-day training. The training is put on by government healthcare workers. Our project is helping to train and to also address in uniform the healthcare workers and provide the paraphernalia that they need to be, the equipment they need to be healthcare workers. Train and equip the healthcare workers. They get their uniform, they get a bicycle for transportation, because often they go from one village to the next and it can be as much as 5 miles. They get rain gear for the rainy season, mud boots, headlamps, because they're often out still late at night, and a testing kit. This shows that the government is actively trying to prevent malaria overall and talking about how malaria can be prevented. They're running TV ads, radio ads, anything that they can do to get the message out to try and prevent malaria. Back to the actual testing and treating of malaria. This is a malaria test administered by a trained village healthcare worker. What she is doing is she's taking a blood prick out of my finger here to test to see if I have malaria. Again, the heart of our project is local testing, local treatment, local prevention. This shows the establishment of a healthcare clinic by sitting on a bucket. We have a healthcare worker there that is testing one of the local children. No fancy clinics here at all. This is the equipment that is used for the healthcare test. It's a very small plastic strip, kind of like a pregnancy test, I'm told. And the drop of blood goes into this hole. Some antigen is added, and in about a 15-minute period of time, it indicates whether you do or do not have malaria. I'm pleased to say I did not. This again is just a larger view of the kinds of goods that they bring, the healthcare equipment that they bring. It's very simple. They throw a tarp down, they sit on buckets and test the people in the local community. So we're asking you to please join us in making a difference. We'd like you to make a difference by advocating for the elimination of malaria on a worldwide basis, asking Rotary to take this on. We are asking you to continue to support our global grant efforts, and we are working on a global grant for the country of Uganda. And we want you to also apply for small grants. Malaria Partners International has a small grant program. We also partner with a number of folks who are very involved in fighting malaria in Africa the way we are. I've mentioned the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, World Visions, PATH, Rotary International, and others, including the US President's malaria initiative that has been very successful as well. I think it was Ian that mentioned that your $5,000 donation was able to multiply by various matches into $30,000 or so. So I won't spend a lot of time on this, but essentially what we're talking about is if a club will make a $5,000 donation that is then eligible for a district match, that gives us $10,000. We have an agreement, a relationship with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation where they will match that $10,000 and it now becomes $20,000. Additionally, with a $5,000 grant from the district, it's eligible for a Rotary International Foundation grant. And so very quickly, you can get to $25,000, $30,000. That money will train 25 community healthcare workers, train and equip them for 2 years to treat and test as many as 12,500 people on the local basis. Again, the key here is local treatment, local testing, and local eradication that we're working on. I always smile when I see this. We work hard when we go to Africa. We go out to the health clinics. We participate in the trainings. We participate in their graduation, but we also take time to go see the rest of Africa. Here I landed at the Masai Mara in Kenya, and this is just a a bunch of photos that show, this is the Masai Mara in Kenya. This is South Luangwa National Park in Zambia that we visited most recently when we were on our Zambian trip. And the last morning that I was in Africa in October of 2019, there was this cute, this is from my, where I spent the night from my lodging on the Luangwa River. And this is a beautiful herd of elephants marching off. And then this is the sunrise that morning. I still wear a blue bracelet that I received in October of 2019, and it says, "Malaria ends with me." This is our presentation for today. I present you with our email and our website. I would ask you, and I know you're not unfamiliar with what we are. I would ask you to look for the updates that we're involved in. And again, we would really like to invite you to participate specifically in a program that we're putting together in Uganda. Uganda will likely be the next country that MPI moves into on a larger scale. We are in the process putting together an $800,000 to $1 million project, which will take what we've learned in Zambia, the training of village healthcare workers, and bring it into Uganda. We're putting that project together right now. We're seeing very good support from the Uganda government and their Ministry of Health and their National Malaria Council. And we hope to be able to come with a grant application very soon. We would like you to participate in that and would welcome both the club and individual participation. We will be hopefully able to go to Uganda and visit the site of where we're getting started here. But again, we're looking at training 1,000 or more village healthcare workers to take on an entire region of Uganda that can replicate the success that we've had in working in Zambia. I think that completes it, and I'm happy to turn it over to Mr. President. Do I call you Vice President or President Ian? For any questions? Thank you.
Call me that guy who's filling in today. It's fine.
Okay, thank you, Ian.
Yeah. So we do have some questions, and thank you so much, Clayton. I appreciate you being here. It was very, very interesting. So first of all, you mentioned 90% of cases are in sub-Saharan Africa. Where are the rest of them? Are there any other major hotspots outside of that region, or is it just kind of scattered around?
Well, I think it's more scattered around. The island of Timor-Leste, which just became independent a few years ago from Indonesia, has had a major outbreak, but they're now pretty much under control. So I think it is just widespread across southern, Southeast Asia, and South America. But truly, Africa is the hotspot.
Sure, sure. You mentioned things like TV ads and whatnot as well. I mean, looking at some of those, the pictures that you were showing, it doesn't look like electricity is terribly prevalent in some of those places. How prevalent are TVs and radios and whatnot to actually spread the word?
Well, there are normally TVs in a bar, in a restaurant. Radios are more prevalent. Cell phones are certainly prevalent, and so social media is another way to do it. But when we're looking at projects, and I mentioned the small grants projects, very often, and one that we're looking at right now in Uganda is most of what they're going to be doing is trying to get the word out. They're going to be printing brochures and distributing them. That's still a very important way to spread the word in countries in Africa, is the printed word like that.
Excellent, excellent. So when you traveled to Zambia, did you have to use mosquito repellent? Did you do anything specific to repel mosquitoes to try to avoid that?
Well, we did two things. It was highly recommended that we take the malaria treatment, which means you start with one pill and it's a series of several pills that you take over a period of time. But then while we were there, yes, we used DEET, and there are certain ways that you can dress in darker clothing and that sort of thing when you're out after dark. And then we slept under mosquito nets. And that is also something that's being done across Africa to help, is trying to, and that's something that the government of Zambia is working on, is the distribution of treated mosquito nets for mothers and babies, particularly to sleep under at night. Because if the mosquito can't get to you, then it cuts down the spread as well. There's also a process of interior spraying of homes, where they come in and they spray the inside of your house on a periodic basis to keep mosquitoes from coming in.
Are trainees who go into the villages, are they paid?
They get a small stipend, I believe. Yes, they do. They get a small stipend, but most of what they're doing is getting this training because it's the start of a healthcare career for them. If they become the village healthcare worker, again, like I said, these 20-year-olds, it is a prestigious position to be chosen by your village to be sent to the provincial capital to be trained and then come home and wear a uniform and ride a bicycle and have a cell phone and have these tests. And then you keep track of your findings in testing and how many people test positive, how many people test negative, and you report that to the health ministry on a daily and weekly basis.
Excellent. So another question here, going on a trip to Zambia or Uganda certainly builds understanding and passion for these types of projects. Are Denver Rotarians able to sign up to go along? And if so, how does that work?
Absolutely, we'd love you to, because I was simply an Oklahoma City Rotarian who signed up to go on an MPI trip, and I was the only one from Oklahoma. We had a couple of gentlemen from Aspen, Colorado, who were on the trip as well. And one of them has now joined me as a new member of the MPI board. So by participating, we will keep you in the loop on that. We are hopeful that we'll be able to travel as soon as October, but we're not going to push it. But we hope in a post-COVID world that we can start traveling soon. I've had both my shots, but the concern is how widespread is the vaccine distribution over there? What happens if there's an outbreak of a different strain? And do we get stranded over there? We don't want to do that. So we're working mainly through the locals over there right now to manage and coordinate everything that's going on, which is what we've done always. We just like being able to go over there and hold hands with them as they're doing it.
Sure. Has COVID impacted the work that's going on over there at all?
Yes, sir. Especially in the early days, it was tough to get equipment because limited funds at the government level were being diverted off to COVID. But we are really pleasantly surprised that the malaria outreach and the malaria effort has continued at the scale it has, which has spurred us to keep going forward full speed.
Excellent, excellent. Is there a timeline estimate to eradicate malaria from the planet? No pressure.
I hope it's in my lifetime. It's really like taking on polio. I mean, the fact that that Rotary has done such a good job of getting polio essentially eradicated. We now have people in place. We have methods in place in 200 countries where we have Rotarians and we raised $1.9 billion to fight polio. We'd like to replicate that and do it again with malaria. I don't know how long it will take. It's taken 30 years on polio that I'm aware of, and maybe longer.
So I know that you did touch on this about sleeping nets and how important they are and how they're still involved. Is there anything specific to that question that like I said, I know you touched on it, but I guess that's a question about how are they still involved?
Well, MPI and what we're doing to train village healthcare workers, we're not the only ones in Africa. We're not the only ones battling malaria. And there are some groups that are doing really mosquito nets and interior spraying. And so when we were looking at Uganda, we were first invited in to talk about a project for interior spraying and sleeping nets. But we quickly realized the government's doing a pretty good job of that in Uganda already. So we moved to the next highest need, and the biggest need right now is that local address of how to diagnose and treat malaria at the local level.
Excellent. Let's see. So from Mark here, having trained village healthcare workers, can you address how having built this infrastructure can be used to treat other diseases like COVID?
Yes, sir. Specifically, in our training right now, we are also training these village healthcare workers to deal with internal issues and also to deal with diarrhea. Those kind of, and malaria are the three big ones. I'm not sure how we have pivoted during COVID. I've not been there to see it, but I know that they're very concerned about it. So I'm not sure I'm the right one to answer that right now. But I know COVID is getting a lot of attention over there, but there's a real concern that there will be a shortage of vaccines. I know when the country of France was talking and negotiating with a country in Africa, they said part of our assistance to you will be to share our COVID vaccine with you. And so we're going to have to do some of that. There's a real concern that if the United States and Europe don't step up and start providing COVID vaccine into Africa, others will. China plays a huge role in that part of Africa already. I saw it firsthand. They're in there on a very direct basis to build infrastructure. They're building roads and railroads. They're building soccer stadiums. They're building high-rise buildings in Addis Ababa. I've seen that. Everywhere we went, there were Chinese projects being built using Chinese workers who have been imported. So it's not necessarily popular. I'll share with you one conversation I had with a local in Lusaka, which is the capital city of Zambia. I had to depart early. I came back, jumped in a taxi cab by myself, and it was just me and the driver. And he said, "Are you from the United States?" I said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "Well, the Chinese, they're much more clever than you Americans." I said, "Tell me about that." And he said, "Well, they come over here and they build infrastructure for us. They loan us the money to do it. And then we take the money that you Americans send us in the form of aid, and we pay the Chinese for these infrastructure projects they're building. The Chinese then take our money home and loan it back to you." I thought, for a simple taxi cab driver in Lusaka, he really put the situation in Africa into just a few words, and it was disconcerting, very honestly.
So we have time for one last question here. So what sort of feedback are you getting from Rotarians when you ask for malaria to be Rotary's next big project, given the extended campaign members have supported to the polio eradication effort?
We're getting very good feedback. And in fact, we're getting and again, I'm an optimist, and I like to read the good things into everything. We're getting positive reinforcement from the highest levels in Rotary. I think the fact that Malaria Partners International was selected for the very first Programs of Scale $2 million grant to go fight malaria is a good indication that we're getting people's attention and it's favorable.
Awesome. Well, Clayton, thank you so much for being with us today. This has been a great presentation. To show our appreciation for you, Rotary Club of Denver has made a donation to the Rotary International Polio Plus Fund in an amount which will inoculate 33 children from polio. And with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation's 2-to-1 match, this will benefit 100 children worldwide. So thank you so much for taking the time to be here to present to our club.
Ian, Lauren, Dawn, thank you. And it's a pleasure to be here, and let us know how we can help at any time. And we will keep in touch with you regarding our ongoing efforts, and we'd sure appreciate your support. Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. Beautiful. Well, so next week's meeting is Thursday, March 18th at 11:45 for fellowship, 12 to 1 o'clock for our meeting as always. And we will be talking about coronavirus economics with Scott Baer, professor at Clemson University. And with that, Lauren, can you post up the 4-way test and we can all recite this together of the things that we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? And with that, I wish you a great day and a wonderful weekend, and we will see you all next week. Cheers.